Hi all, welcome to my channel Santosh on Tech. Today we are going to discuss AWS VPC endpoints. If you find value in this video, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. So let's get started. There are many services of AWS that runs outside VPC. For example, S3 is a regional service and doesn't run inside VPC. Now if you want your VPC to connect to S3, you need to connect it either via the internet or via your corporate data center. A VPC endpoint gives you the ability to connect to a VPC and supported AWS services directly using private connection. Traffic between your VPC and the other service doesn't leave the Amazon network. Prior to the introduction of VPC endpoints, VPC resources had to go out to the internet to communicate with the certain services. This poses a potential security and availability risk and complicates infrastructure architecture. Now VPC endpoints allow traffic to flow between a VPC and the other service without ever leaving the Amazon network, which provides improved network security. If you are working in an industry that has high compliance and security restrictions that prevent you from accessing public facing services from the internet, in this case, how do you get access to S3, DynamoDB tables, or other AWS services while remaining on AWS private network? So the answer is you use private VPC endpoints, which can be either a gateway endpoint or an interface endpoint. Both types keeps traffic within the AWS network but support different services and works in different ways. So let me read through the slides for you. So the first line is AWS endpoints enables private connection between your VPC and supported AWS services. Traffic between your VPC and other services does not leave the Amazon network. So if you have VPC and if you want to communicate to the S3 or DynamoDB or Kinesis, then how you'll communicate from your VPC to S3, DynamoDB and Kinesis? So earlier to the VPC endpoint, you need to go over the internet. In that case, you either go with the IGW, that is Internet Gateway, or a NAT instance. But both of these options will take you over the internet to connect to all the AWS services. So VPC endpoints provide you private connectivity, which never goes over the internet. Let's go to the second line. A VPC endpoint does not require an Internet Gateway, Virtual Private Gateway, NAT devices, VPN connections, or AWS Direct Connection. Instance in your VPC do not require public IP address to communicate with the resources in the service. So the next line is VPC endpoint are virtual devices. They are horizontally scaled, redundant, and high availability VPC components. They allow communication between instances in your VPC and service without imposing availability risk. AWS currently support two types of VPC endpoints, that is VPC interface endpoints and VPC gateway endpoints. So let's have a closer look to each of these VPC endpoints. So what is interface endpoint? VPC interface endpoint is an elastic network interface powered by AWS Private Link with a private IP address from the IP address range of your subnet. It enables private communication between your VPC and supported AWS services. It acts as an entry point to the traffic, targeting AWS services such as CloudFormation, Elastic Load Balancers, SNS. Interface endpoints limit all the network traffic to AWS internal network and provide secure access to your services. The interface VPC endpoint is a redundant, highly available VPC component that has private IP address and is scaled horizontally. So most of the things we have already discussed in previous slide. So VPC interface endpoint is one of the endpoints supported by the AWS, which provides you the private connectivity, and it is powered by the private link. So let's understand what is private link first. AWS Private Link was introduced as a way to connect to AWS services like EC2, ELB, and Kinesis data stream without traversing the public internet. Before private link, any API call to the services requires an outbound internet connection, either a public IP address, NAT instance, or NAT gateway. The request itself, including any sensitive information, would first leave your VPC and then travel across the internet to AWS service you were calling. AWS private link then enables the endpoint to connect the traffic to the services without going over the internet. AWS Private Link also allows customer to create an application in their Amazon VPC, referred to as a service provider VPC, and offers that application as an AWS Private Link enabled service or VPC endpoint service. A VPC endpoint service lets customers host a service and it accessed by other consumers using AWS Private Link. So what does this line means? So we have discussed like AWS having services like S3, DynamoDB, then SNS, then Kinesis. Similarly, we can have our own services. Say suppose you have VPC and multiple EC2 instances and you want to so we call this VPC as a service provider, and all the applications deployed over the EC2 we can offer those application through the AWS private link. You will have elastic network interface, and here you will have network load balancer NLB. The other VPCs can connect to your services through the NLB. So how AWS VPC interface endpoint works? When you choose one or more subnets in a VPC to use your interface endpoint, AWS create an elastic network interface in each selected subnet. So we have choose this subnet for using the elastic network interface, and Amazon creates this ENI in the selected subnet. Next, you associate security groups with the elastic network interface. Next, you can associate a security groups with the elastic network interface. The security group must have a rule allowing communication between the elastic network interface and the resources in the VPC that needs to connect to the services. So, our EC2 instance want to connect to the service, Amazon Kinesis service. So, our security group should have entry for this EC2 instance and this ENI to flow the outbound traffic. You can then optionally enable private DNS when connecting to the services, which allows requests to use the default DNS hostname instead of endpoint specific hostname. Private DNS is enabled by default for the AWS and AWS Marketplace services. Finally, the owner of the service, such as the AWS itself or the third party from the marketplace, known as the service provider, either manually or automatically accept endpoint requests from you. Accepted endpoint requests are then privately connected to the service. Interface endpoints also allow you to attach an endpoint policy controlling access to the service. So here are some important points you need to remember about interface endpoints. For each interface endpoint, only one subnet per availability zone can be selected. So the next is each interface endpoint can support a bandwidth of up to 10 Gbps per availability zone by default. Additional capacity may be added automatically based on your usage. Next is network ACL for the subnet can restrict the traffic and needs to be configured properly. Interface endpoint supports TCP traffic only. Endpoints are supported within the same region only. Keep in mind that if you have region 1, then region 2, and in region 1 you have VPC1, and in region 2 you have say suppose S3, and from VPC1 you want to connect to the S3 from the region 2, that is not supported. Endpoints support IPv4 traffic only. Endpoints cannot be transferred from one VPC to the another or from one service to the another service. So if you have VPC1 and you have one ENI with it, which is connected to the S3, then you cannot use this particular endpoint and reassociate it with VPC2. This is not allowed. At the same time, you cannot change this interface to point to the DynamoDB, which is earlier pointing to S3. This is not supported. AWS charges usage and data processing rates for private link. So there are additional costs involved with creating and using interface endpoints. Traffic from VPC resources to the endpoint network interface is controlled by security groups rules. So the second type of gateway endpoint is the VPC gateway endpoint. The functionality of gateway endpoint is same as the interface endpoints. However, the gateway endpoints are free. A private VPC gateway endpoint sits in the middle of source and destination, acting as a secure tunnel connection. For example, the DynamoDB gateway connection sits between the instance running a web application and a DynamoDB table. A VPC may have multiple gateway endpoints to different services in a route table or multiple gateway endpoints to the same service in different route tables. But it may not have multiple gateway endpoints to the same service in the same route table. So gateway endpoints do not use private link. Therefore, apart from the standard cost of data transfer and resource use, AWS doesn't charge extra for using gateway endpoint, unlike interface endpoints. Keep in mind that VPC gateway endpoint do not use private link. So how AWS VPC gateway endpoints work? To set up a gateway endpoint, you specify the VPC and the service its resource will connect to. So what we'll need for the gateway endpoints? So gateway endpoints need two ends. So one end is the VPC and the other is a service to which we want to connect. Then you specify the route tables where routes to the service will be created. Each created route has destination set to the service prefix list ID and the target set to the destination ID. So you can see the subnet to route table over here. So we want resource from the subnet to access S3. So we have updated the route table for the subnet 2, which has an entry with the prefix ID list for this Amazon S3 service and target as the VPC endpoint ID. So you can see a VPC endpoint which is associated with the VPC and which connects to the S3 bucket. And we have added route table entry to the subnet which points to the VPC endpoints. As we have pointed earlier, subnet associated with the route tables are automatically granted access to the endpoint, and traffic from the instances in the subnet is routed through the endpoint to the service according to the endpoint policy. The default policy allows full access from any credentialed user or service within the VPC to S3 or DynamoDB resource. You can see that this VPC endpoint is connected to this VPC, but we have updated the route table for the subnet 2 only to allow traffic to be routed to the VPC endpoint. So the resources from the VPC2, say suppose this EC2 instance V2, will be able to communicate to the S3 through the VPC endpoint. A VPC security group must have a rule allowing outbound traffic from the VPC to specified service in order for traffic to follow through a gateway endpoint. Here remember, when we say VPC security group, we refer to the security group on instance and network access control list on subnet. Both should have outbound entry to VPC gateway. So security group on this EC2 instance and knuckles on subnet should have outbound entry so that the traffic will be allowed from this instance to the VPC endpoint and from the subnet to the VPC endpoint and ultimately to the S3 bucket. Once we have security groups, network access control list and the route table configured correctly, instances in the subnet 2 can access Amazon S through the VPC gateway endpoint. So we have all things on place. We have configured the security group, instance security group. We have configured the network access control list for the subnet. Then we have added the entry into the route table. So all three are set up. Then our EC2 instance will be able to communicate through the VPC endpoint to the service. So let's see some of the important points for the gateway endpoint. Endpoint cannot be created between a VPC and a AWS service in a different region. Again, as we see in the interface endpoint, similarly for the gateway endpoint, we cannot connect from one VPC with the service in another region. Next is endpoint support IPv4 traffic only. Next is endpoint cannot be transferred from one VPC to the another or from one service to the another. We discussed this in interface endpoint. This is similar in gateway endpoint as well. Endpoint connections cannot be extended out of VPC, that is resources across the VPN connection. So say you have VPC endpoint over here and your VPC is connected to your data center corporate network through the VPN connection. Can you connect to S3 from your data center through your VPC and VPC endpoint and reach out to the S3? No, this is not supported. So you cannot talk to the service across VPN connection through the VPC endpoint. Similarly, it applies for the VPC peering connections, AWS Direct Connect. So in case of AWS Direct Connect, say suppose you have AWS Direct Connect connection with your data center, corporate network to your VPC. Will you be able to connect from your corporate network through your direct connect connection to the VPC, and from VPC will be able to connect to the VPC endpoint and from there S3? No, this is again not supported. In similar case, if you have another VPC, in case of VPC peering, say suppose you have another VPC and this VPC and this VPC is peered together with the VPC peering connection. Will you be able to talk from VPC, say suppose this is VPC1 and this is VPC2. Will you be able to talk from VPC2 to VPC1 and from VPC1 to the S3 bucket to the VPC endpoint which is associated with the VPC1? No, this is not supported. Right? This is not supported. You can talk from VPC2 to VPC1, but you cannot reach to the S3 through the VPC endpoint which is associated with the VPC1. So just to summarize, in this diagram we have both endpoints. EC2 is so in this diagram we have two availability zones. Each is having one EC2 instance, and each subnet is having elastic network interface. So through this we are connected to various AWS services, establishing our interface VPC endpoint connectivity. Now, so if you see over here, there are many services you can connect with the interface VPC endpoints, but there are few services to which you can connect with the gateway VPC endpoint. So if your VPC want to connect to the Amazon DynamoDB and S3, it can use a gateway VPC endpoint to connect to the Amazon DynamoDB and Amazon S3. As of now, the gateway VPC endpoint only supports these two AWS services. So if you want to connect to rest of the AWS services, you need to use interface VPC endpoints. So this is the one reason to use interface VPC endpoint, because there is no support for other services as of now through the gateway VPC endpoint. So when you will you want to use the gateway VPC endpoint, as we discussed, interface VPC endpoint uses private link, which is not free. The data transfer charges will be applicable from AWS. But in case of gateway VPCs, it's free. So this is pretty much about VPC endpoints If you have any questions or comments, if you have any questions, doubts, or if you want me to cover any additional points, leave a comment on the video and I will prepare a video for that. If you like this video and find value in it, please do like, share and comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Your subscription and likes keeps me motivated to create more of such videos. Thank you. See you in the next video.